Okay. Oh, we did all that. Okay. Well, okay. I'll introduce myself again. I'm Levon State. I'm a science and math teacher. Okay. I'm a science and math teacher here at the NICC Macy campus. Um, what I was talking about is that I was exposed to the effects of type 2 diabetes since I was a child and teenager and stuff, as being a caregiver for my father and my grandparents and things like that. And that's what put me on the path to thinking about this kind of thing of how are we going to deal with these issues that are presented with this this really bad illness that has affected our people here, our native people in a really bad way and stuff. And it's been going on for many, many years and stuff. So I've seen all these effects, and that's what I said. I try and think about using our traditional foods, as a curative therapy for these different health issues that arise from the type 2 diabetes. And so that's what we talk about here, is about growing our food and incorporating these different traditional foods in with the different things that we can grow today and stuff. And so the chicken, we just found a very basic clear chicken soup recipe that you with the wild rice and stuff. And so what we wanted to incorporate into this this presentation here was just about the herbs and stuff. And so we got a really basic recipe, but we added the rosemary and the thyme into here, as because what we want to do is expose the different people to these different tastes and flavors and stuff. Maybe you might want to grow them in your garden, because like this is these are usually the really basic chicken herbs and stuff that we would use. Rosemary, thyme. This is dried thyme. This is how we would buy it from the store, like this. This is the fresh one here. This is sage that this is culinary sage that I grew myself and harvested right here. And these are bay leaves. We can't really grow these. These are just some of the herbs that we are going to be using for our preparation today. And also for our pot, we're using the black peppercorns and garlic too. So as a seasoning for our pot and stuff. So I just wanted to go over that. And one of the things that we wanted to talk about is these different herbs and stuff is that we can always grow our herbs to season our different foods and stuff without adding the salt and different things that aren't as healthy, So and then also to remember that when we are purchasing these different products here, what do they come in, right? Plastic packaging. This is what really concerns me, is all this stuff that we dispose of right here. So that's why I say, well, this is the stuff that we bought to use today, to show you what it is and how we purchase it and stuff like this. Or you can buy dried herbs too, and that and we can also what we're going to try and do is have a workshop also later, farther in the season, after we grow some of these herbs, on how we're going to dry them and store them and stuff also. So that's what we wanted to go over with this. And so now let's talk about the chicken, right? So the chicken that we have is frozen that we sent out. So what I want you guys to do is either thaw your chicken before you start this pot, or else you're going to need to microwave it, to defrost it on a defrost. Okay, so this is after we have did the first step of our recipe here. So I wanted to get started showing you how we're going to do this. So this is after we cook the chicken. Go over prepping the chicken. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about when we were getting our pot ready and stuff and prepping our chicken. So on the first step of the recipe there, it tells us to put the oil in the pot. Okay, because this is where I was prepping the vegetables to put in there. So actually what we're doing here, we don't really need to peel the carrots if it's just for the stock pot. We just want to wash them, and we're gonna like trim off the bad parts, like if they're brown and stuff, but otherwise we can leave the peelings, the leaves and stuff on there. We just want to peel the onion. What I'm showing in there is that how I cut through the onion on the root end and left it in the root end intact so it doesn't all fall apart when we put it in the pot. And how I wanted to kind of cut those, because in a recipe it says to put them in whole. But if we're going to cut them a little bit like that, it's going to release far more flavor into the pot. And then the other step here is that it says to use the parsley. So what I know about the parsley here is that the stems are very flavorful and stuff, but we don't really use them as unless you're going to cook them and stuff like that. So that's why I cut them off of the actual leaf part, and then we're going to chop the leaf for the soup part at a different step. But right here is where we're doing the parsley stems, and then we're peeling the garlic cloves, getting ready for the pot, because we've already, okay, so then I put that's where we were prepping the vegetables. Okay, now we need to advance to where, okay, so this is where we're gonna put the oil in the pan here, and we have this set at medium high, and then we're gonna put in the chicken, and we're gonna put in the rest of the, yeah, so this is where we're putting in the, we're seasoning the chicken with the salt, and in here I use the whole peppercorns, and those are in your seasoning pack too. A lot of people don't care to use the black pepper because it will leave the black spots in the food, you know. But like when you're using cream soups and chicken and stuff, a lot of people won't use the black pepper on there just because you know. But I like it for the flavor and stuff. And when we're going to use it in the application with the wild rice is dark already, so it's not, you know, distracting or anything from the food there. So that's why I'm trying to show. Okay, and then then that's where it's showing where the chicken is brown. You can see the brown on the chicken there. Okay, so that's where we want it to get to. And then we're going to cover it with, after we brown it in a pot, then we're going to cover it with water. All the pieces there, you can see it's all covered, and then we're gonna turn it on high and bring it to a boil. And after it comes to a boil, we're gonna, you know, stir it, turn it down to a simmer and cover it, and then we're let it simmer for like an hour and a half. The reason why I did that in our recipe there, that it says to boil it for 2 to 3 hours, but myself, I don't care for that practice right there. Because unless you use organic chicken, then you really don't want to use the bones there to make like bone broth and stuff. You would want to use organic chicken or beef or whatever it is if you're going to boil it that long. Because that is where the different antibiotics, growth hormones, and different chemicals that they use to the chickens and the beef and stuff. So that's why we want to use organic for stuff there. So that's why I didn't go according to the recipe there. That I actually, when the chicken was done, I turned it off because I didn't want to extract all the. After you guys cooked your chicken, now what the next step says is to remove the chicken from the pot. So, and we're going to remove the chicken because we're going to remove the meat, right? So let's take this out. It might be easier just to strain the whole thing because I don't know if it's. And then that's what I would do is strain this because we want to take all of the solids out of here. And we just want the broth part here. So let's do that. Okay. So now This is where we are putting on our soup back on the burner here. Okay, so now this is where we're gonna start working with our chicken, where we need to. And so, what according to the recipe, what it is saying is that while this chicken is cooking, that's when you're gonna prep your vegetables for the soup. So we're gonna chop our 3 carrots and our parsley to be ready to put in the soup when it gets to that point. And also while this chicken is cooking, it says to cook your wild rice according to package directions. But actually the wild rice that we have given you guys is just, it's not the processed kind or whatever like that. It's about, it's a cultivated wild rice anyway. But I'm working on this chicken. So actually, according to the recipe, it tells us to cook the rice well, because they cook the rice separate from the soup. I mean, from the and it is just added to the soup after. Okay, so this is after we get out all the chicken out of here, and we're going to use this for the soup here. This is my 2 pounds of chicken. Okay, and so this here could probably just go into your compost that is left from that pot. Okay. Okay, so then this is what we would we're starting our pot here, and then according to the recipe, what it is telling us is we need to add our rice and our I know what it is. Excuse me. We're gonna add our vegetables into our pot here. So on the recipe, it's saying that we want 3 cups of cut carrots. So myself, I'm adjusting mine because I want more like 2 cups of excuse me, 2 cups of chopped carrots and about a cup of finely chopped celery. I make celery with my wild rice soup. So, and then another thing that would be good in here also would be mushrooms. Mushrooms go really good with wild rice and with chicken. So that is what we're doing. Okay, so now we're going to bring this up to temperature here. We're going to start that on a boil. Okay, so according to the recipe, we're going to cook that wild rice. And that's where we're going to talk about the wild rice a little bit. So what we know about the rice is that the wild rice comes from a semi-aquatic grass that is grown all over here and originated, they say, in the Connecticut River Valley, but it's all over the Great Lakes area and stuff. Widely eaten by the Native Americans and that come from that area. But I know that family and all the other like people in this area, they consume the wild rice because it was one of the foods that we used in trade. So I know that we are accustomed to eating it and all this kind of stuff. So I'm bringing this soup up to temperature right now where it's going to start to boil. And then we're going to get our other stuff ready to add in. Because remember, we put in our vegetable and it's coming up to boil. And we're going to do that right now. What I'm going to work on right now is taking this chicken, ready to add it to the pot with the so we're going to break this down, clean out the different little skin and stuff like that, connective tissues. And we're going to get this ready for that soup pot. Okay, so let's talk about the differences on the wild rice. So most of the wild rice that you buy in the store today is what is known as cultivated. And it's a lot darker. The flavor is different than the native kind. What I say about, if you're not accustomed to eating the native type of wild rice, that you're probably, I know that most people prefer the cultivated kind of, that's what they're accustomed to eating. I mean, if they didn't really grow up around the reservations and stuff, and were exposed to the real wild rice that is gathered, you know, from the wild and stuff, it actually looks different. It has a different mouth feel even. The wild rice that the natives collect, it's more green. It has a taste like, how would you say? This is what my sister used to tell me. She used to say, "Oh, I don't care for the wild rice because it tastes like weeds." I said, "Weeds? When do you eat weeds?" She said, "No." She said, "You know when they cut the grass, the weeds and stuff, how that smell is? That's what it tastes like to me." So I think it's just mostly like a wild taste, actually, you know. And so, and then the other difference is that the cultivated wild rice has a more chewier texture. It's more bite to it because the actual hull on the wild rice is darker, thicker, and has more crunch to it and stuff, more bite to it. So, then that's what we're saying. We're going to cook that wild rice, have it ready to put into our soup. What I wanted to show was different ways, because the recipe that we have calls for this type of rice here. It says a 6-ounce box of Uncle Ben's mix. And it says to prepare it according to the directions on the box. But so wild rice usually takes at least 40 minutes to cook. Okay, so our soup is starting to boil here. So I'm gonna turn this down. Okay, so now what they have told us. Okay, so we're gonna wait and see how these carrots, they're tender to the, not quite, a little bit more. Okay, so now I have my wild rice ready to go in. And I need to so we're going to cut this chicken up into, usually, you know, when they say soup, everything should be able to fit on a soup spoon and take one bite, you know. That's what they say about soup. So that's why I'm going to cut this down into smaller, you know, bite-sized pieces before and get it ready to stir into our soup. Okay, so one of the other things people ask about is like, how much rice do I need to cook? Because usually how we eat wild rice is like as a side dish, just like how we eat rice, you know? So, and 1 cup of wild rice is going to produce 3 cups of cooked rice. So that's just a rule of thumb to kind of go by when we're preparing the rice to go into different recipes and stuff like that. So, okay, so now we have chicken and the rice ready here to go into our pot. Okay, let's check this here. I'm going to check my pot. What this is looking like. Okay, so I am going to, since those are done, we are going to put in our chicken. Okay, so here is our cooked wild rice here. And then we're gonna stir in some parsley. Let's bring this back up to temp here, and then we'll stir in our parsley. Because we don't really want it to cook, but we want this to be up to temp here. Yeah, looking like on this one, what we wanted to show was a more clear soup and stuff that didn't have all the steps or as much added like stuff like roux and like because Angelina is the one who located the recipe and stuff, and when she was reviewing them, she said that there was a lot of different additives like white wine and all this kind of stuff too. And actually, we did put the lemon in the packages that we sent out, just because I'm sorry that we overlooked it, but if you want to put it in there, that's fine. And actually, I was gonna forego that on this one. So I can see right here that this is coming up to, it's starting to simmer now. So I'm gonna turn this back down now. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna turn this back down here. And then I'm gonna stir in some of this parsley to where it seems like, and we're not gonna need this whole half a cup here. Like this right here looks good to me, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it looks fine.
Okay, that looks like, and that looks like it is done. So,
Well, that smells really good.
okay, I'll just use this one right here. So I got my oil warming up back here now because we're gonna do some puffed wild rice. And okay, so I wanted just to show you this soup right now because it is done. We finished it up, and so you can see the wild rice. Oh, this is a piece of parsley. Okay. But that's what I just wanted to show you. The carrots, see, there's carrots, chicken, wild rice, parsley. Okay. So that's just what I wanted to show you what it looks like, and can you see it and stuff? All right. Okay, so now what kind of time are we looking at here?
What is
Okay, I'm gonna move our pot up here. We'll shut this with So the next thing that we're gonna get going on here is we're trying to find different ways to use this wild rice. So this is a preparation that one of my friends had suggested. She said that this was a high energy food that she would prepare for her husband when he was on chemotherapy and stuff before he passed from his cancer and stuff. So this is one of the high calorie foods that she would prepare for him and that he would really enjoy eating and stuff. So what this is we're gonna pop this wild rice like popcorn. And then what she said, my friend, she said that she used to prepare this in the that she would put actual maple sugar, not the syrup, but maple sugar and dried blueberries or cranberries in it. And then that was like a native trail mix or something, you know? And and it was very high energy and something that really helped to lead this man actually when he was young. So what really interested me about this different thing. And so I tried to do this how my friend had suggested, and I looked it up on the internet and everything of how they do it and stuff. But so I tried the different ways and stuff. So the way that it says on the internet is they actually did it how they pop popcorn. But I tried it and it didn't work that well with this type of boiled rice that we have. So I tried it according to the method that my friend Lonnie uses. And that's what she said is that to get a wire sieve like this. I don't know where we can see, where are you seeing me at? Okay, all right. To get a wire sieve like this. And this is an 8-inch one, all metal with silicone handle, you know, and stuff like this. And I got some oil going here in a saucepan. And so actually this is gonna fit in here, see? And there's a little bit oil that touches on the bottom here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let this get really hot here. And I can tell when I can't hardly hold my hand here that and before it starts smoking. So then from there, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use probably about a 1/4 cup of wild rice. And usually when for this to be hot enough, we're gonna drop. Well, we're making my time. Let's see. Okay, so now it's hot enough. I can tell because this is gonna sizzle up. It's almost gonna make a white foam when you put it in. And then you just kind of agitate them around and then start popping. You can dice them over there. What? Okay. What I usually do is move it around in this sieve like this. You can see them popping, coming open there. And you just kind of have to listen too. And you can hear them when they're popping. Okay, so once they quit popping, we're gonna drain them. Okay, that should be good right there. Okay. And so we're gonna let the oil drain from here. And then can you hand me the plate? Yes. And so here I have some toweling on a plate just to, I like to make sure and take off all the excess oil. My friend, she didn't tell me to do this, but this is just what I know to do just because I know that I don't want to be eating all that oil if I don't have to. So while this is still warm, what I would do is, let's see here, where's my bowl? While this is still warm, see, I'm taking off some of this oil off of here. I'm gonna put it in a bowl like this. And let's put a little bit, since I don't have the maple sugar right now, I do have brown sugar and I do have maple syrup. So what I'm doing is I'm sprinkling a little bit brown sugar and a few drops of maple just for the flavor, you know. Not very much, just so it's gonna add here. And this is what my friend usually says, is she would put dried cranberries or dried blueberries in with this. What I do though, I'm putting dried cranberries in here just because I know that a lot of our Native people have access to this, you know, in the government distributed food programs and stuff. So, and that's one of the things that we have access to. And another thing that I know that comes in distribution is the dried cherries. So we could also maybe chop those down a little bit because those are bigger pieces, and then use those too. And then we're just gonna mix this together while it's warm. And that is that. And it is actually really good. So let's put that in. And the other way that we can do this too is do it the same way, pop it like that, and then we're gonna just put salt on it and eat it when it's warm. So it's a little bit different texture than, you know, popcorn. It's more chewier and stuff. And the observation that I made is just because I know that the real wild rice has a different texture than a cultivated wild rice. I think that the you know, native collected wild rice would be better at this product right here, just because I know that the hull on the cultivated wild rice is thicker and chewier and stuff like that. So that's why I know that I think it would be better if it was made with the real wild rice.
Amazing, and everything smells so good. I wish you guys could be here. Just the chicken soup itself, but this wild rice, like toasted with the maple syrup and the brown sugar, it smells so good. And it's kind of similar to like a puffed rice cereal. If you had puffed rice cereal, that's kind of the texture, but it's a little bit more crunchy because it has the hole on it. But it is really good. I do recommend it, but make sure it is ventilated because that oil is hot and it gets smoky.
Yeah.
All right. Did you want to talk about the wild rice anymore or anything?
Mhm. Well, what I know is that unless you actually have ties to the reservation, like up north and stuff, like well, we go up there by White Earth and Leech Lake, and you know those places. Actually know people up by there, and so or else going to conferences up there because right up there they sell it right in there. Like say you know how all the casinos have big fuel plazas and all that kind of stuff. So the natives actually go there and sell their wild rice and stuff. So, and the other difference between the cultivated and the real wild rice would have to be the cost. And one of the things that we were looking at is that they were saying that it is about 3 times as pricey as the cultivated, which is true because the one that we were referring to, I mean the article that we were looking at, it was saying that at that time it was like $3 for the cultivated and $9 a pound for the wild rice. But I know right now today that we are paying like $15 to $20 a pound for the wild rice that the natives collect and stuff. So and it is like about $5 a pound actually for the cultivated in the store. Like this small box here, this is 4 ounces, and we pay $2.99 for this box right here. So, and if that's 4, so then that would be like $12 a pound, right? And then I don't even know, and this says a patty grown. So this is the cultivated here actually. It's not the real wild rice. But there are different products like this that you can buy. The main difference I can tell you is when you see it, that this kind, if you see it and it looks dark like this, almost black, this is the cultivated wild rice. The kind that the natives collect and stuff make, it's more green colored and it actually looks like a grass seed. Yeah, yeah. So that's what I wanted to share with about the wild rice and stuff. And just to think about it too, you know, one of the rules of thumb when we talk about food and nutrition is the more colorful the food is, the more nutritious it is. More nutritious it usually is, excuse me. Anyway, So then when we think about that in those terms, we know that this probably has way more nutrition in it than any kind of white rice, just because we know that, you know, the colors in it.
Good.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, does anybody have any questions? Any questions about wild rice or herbs or any of the process?
Yeah.
And the Zoom is also being recorded, so you can always go back and rewind and rewatch and everything, because it the chicken does take some time. I would like the recipe required us to prepare the chicken ahead of time. Not everybody always cooks their chicken separate from their soup. I know myself, I don't. I usually put everything in the pot together. So this was different for me. It was hard. It was actually hard to find a recipe that was everything in one pot.
And then what I would also suggest too is a lot of people like the creamy soup, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't want to do the brew and all that kind of stuff, and what is available to a lot of the native peoples, you know, and stuff is in our food distribution, we get the Campbell's cream of chicken soup. The healthy recipe one, of course, right? Low sodium. Yeah. So if you wanted to, I would suggest, if you like the creamy soup like that, would be the easiest way would be to stir in one of those cans of soup at the very end, you know, because you don't bring it to a boil. Just want to stir it in towards the end if you want a creamier soup.
And then adding
Yep, yep, yep.
I really like them. All right. Well, if nobody has any questions, then we are going to say goodnight and let you guys enjoy at least this. Like, this is the popped. Let me see if I can get a good picture of it, of the popped wild rice with the berries in it. It's really, really good. And I'm going to keep this. This is mine.
This one is the one with the salt.
Yeah, and then you have a savory one also that it's like popcorn, like we just did it warm, put salt on it, just like popcorn.
And other recommendations was to put nutritional yeast on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Put that on popcorn.
Yeah.
All right, great ideas. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and we're hoping that we can, you know, get back to our in-person workshops soon. But just for the safety of everybody in the community, we felt like this would be the best thing for us right now. So stay tuned to our CFRA YouTube channel, because we have all kinds of helpful videos available, and stay tuned to our website also, because we have lots of fun events going on also.
Okay, good night.